lovely people. My name is Wizo, and today we are going to talk about cheating players. Now, I know cheating players is not the most happy of topics, but sometimes it does come up, unfortunately. And since many people don't talk about cheating players, then it doesn't get addressed. People don't know how to deal with cheating players. People don't know what to do, and they end up getting frustrated, worried, and it doesn't end up well. So, I am here to help you figure out what to do. Now, first things first, you suspect a player's cheating. Okay, what do? Do you take them aside and talk to them? No. Most of the time, you should take your players aside and talk to them if there's a personal issue or something you need to work out, but not with cheating. Why? Well, it's because sometimes, and actually a lot of the time, those players are not actually cheating. There can be some miscommunication that happened in player setup which made their sheet have ridiculous stats. It could be that they didn't try to rig their dice. Their dice just roll really well, and they like those dice because they roll really well. I mean, why wouldn't you like your dice if they rolled really well? And sometimes it's just luck. Luck can happen, and it's very annoying. So if you don't accuse a player of cheating, then what do? Well, you test the waters first. You try to figure out if they're actually cheating or not. How to do this? Well, let's say that they have a dice problem. They just roll really high and roll really well, and they haven't rolled a 1 in about 7 sessions, and they can't roll below a 16, which is ridiculous. So, first, you can ask the player, hey, can I see that die? Because it's ridiculous, and I'd love to try it out. And then you roll it, and if you roll ridiculously low, then you can say, that's odd. I mean, I don't know why I'm rolling low and you're rolling really high. Well, I have a new idea. How about, to make the game more fun, because, I mean, I roll like crap with this die and you roll really well, let's roll out in the open for everyone. In fact, the DM screen, gone. Don't need it. I'll roll in the open, makes things a lot more interesting, and when you guys roll in the open, it makes things a lot more tense. We're all waiting sometimes on that bated breath of a roll every now and then to see if someone makes a saving throw, to see if someone hits at that last moment. It makes the game exciting. So you have to throw this pitch to give this new rule, and really, with that pitch, who would say no? Who would say that, oh, no, I don't want to make the game more exciting? And if a person says no, then they're kind of ostracized, and that peer pressure will make them say yes, even if they don't want that to happen. So, they roll in the open and, surprise, surprise, problem solved. But what if the problem's not solved? What if somehow they're still rolling ridiculously high? Well, you can do what I did. My brother, when I was younger, not now, we played Dungeons and Dragons with our school friends, and he had this die. No one could really see what it rolled because it was one of those faded dice. You probably know what I'm talking about. And it was ridiculously hard to see. You couldn't see what was rolled on it, so even if you rolled in the open, it wouldn't solve the problem. I asked to roll the die. I rolled I rolled terribly. So we had him roll, and then we all looked at the die because none of us could tell what it was, and we wanted to see what it was, so we had to actually lean over and look at it. And sure enough, he rolled all the time, 16 and above, 3 sessions in a row. It was ridiculous. Over 100 rolls, and he had maybe 5% of his rolls, maybe 5 rolls below 16, which is just... I was baffled. It was ridiculous. But he was just very lucky. So, we established that it wasn't me rolling the die, and it was just him being lucky. And he wasn't cheating with how he was rolling. He was just rolling normally. Now, if there is a die that you roll and the suspected cheating player rolls, and it always rolls high, generally you can discount this die. If you are at a disagreement, there is a simple water test that you can do, the top right, there or there, one of the two places, and go check out that link. That should be able to solve your issue. It's a saltwater test. Tests if your die is evenly balanced. It's interesting, to say the least. Now that covers players who are cheating with dice, and we'll deal with obstinate players, the players who won't work with you later at the end of the video. But let's talk about the second most common type of cheating, or at least the second most that I've seen and heard about, and that is character sheet cheating. This is when a player comes to your game and says, hey, I'm a level 1 with 4 18s, a 16, and a 15. No, that's 90% of the time not likely, especially when you're rolling even a 4d6 system or 3d6. That you're not going to get that high of stats, at least not normally. So you can question these stats and say, first off, how? Please walk me through. And normally they won't be able to tell you exactly, or will be defensive and just say, oh, well, I just rolled that. And you can say that I like my players to roll in front of me so that we don't have any strange things happen, because I don't doubt that you rolled these. Again, don't accuse them, but be the good guy and say that I don't doubt that you rolled them, but I would just feel better if I could verify this and if other players could see it while you're rolling as well, just like they've seen the other players roll, and it makes the game a lot more equal in everyone's eyes, and no one will be a sore loser about it later if you're rolling a 3d6 or 4d6 system. Sometimes these things just happen. But if that player is very confrontational and states that, oh, no, I'm not going to do that, then first you realize that is a huge red flag. If they don't want to listen to the DM now, why are they going to listen to you later? But second, you need to give them a reason why they should do this. And you can tell them flat out, hey, I personally have no problem with your character stats and everything, but the other players might because they didn't get to see these rolls and it's not fair to them, and I kind of do agree, but I would like you to work with the party and also see what they think. This way, they'll have to bring it up and tell the party, oh, well, I think my character's good, which is really embarrassing and not something that many people want to do. And normally, the person will back down and say that, well, okay, I'll roll with the party, I'll be with the group, and that already shows that they'll be willing to work with the group and everything will be good overall because that player will work with you. If this player does not do that, if this player is extremely obstinate and says, no, I'm not going to do that, I am going to do what I want and I'll bring it to the group and I will make sure I shut down anyone who tries to ask why my character is this broken, or anyone who asks that I roll with them. And of course they're not going to be that blatant, but if they go about it in that manner, that's a huge red flag. And what do we do with red flags? Well, we talked about red flags with cheating players who roll dice, and red flags with cheating players who have a cheated character sheet where they just made up their own stats and rolls. If you have these red flags, the first thing you should do is talk to them. Figure out if this player is really just going to be a problem player, going to be a problem player, or if they're able to work with you. If they're able to work with you, then that's great. You can clear up a miscommunication one-on-one. But if you can't clear that up one-on-one, then they're just going to be a thorn in your side the entire time. And no D&D is always better than bad D&D. But what can you do if you can't kick this player? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, most of the time, people say that, oh, problem player, red flags, kick them out of your group. And it's a little extreme, but that's what most of the advice gives on the internet. The problem is, sometimes we can't kick these players. Sometimes we bring in close personal friends, or family members, or significant others, and you get the idea. This is never a good thing when those players turn out to be problem players. So, there are a few ways to deal with this. If you are a player, and you have other players on your side, which they probably will be if this player is obviously cheating, then you should try to help guide that player, or just make sure that they have consequences for their actions. Don't let them be this overpowered person. Try to play it off like, oh yeah, they're the leader, and then just throw them into things that they don't want to do. And if they screw up, well, that character ends up getting killed, and then the DM will probably have a lot more oversight on the next one. If it's rolling, then rolling's a bit harder. But if the player is cheating by rolling, then you as a player can try to sit next to that person or have whoever sits next to them watch their rolls. This will solve the issue very quickly. If you are the dungeon master and this player is constantly cheating, constantly doing a whole bunch of other things, and doing things that are completely against what the party wants. For example, they make a ridiculously overpowered character. They want to be the main character of the story, and then they go out to do whatever they want to do. Well, give them less time. Give them less time to act. Make sure their interactions are a lot quicker, and you go to the other players, and then if they ask, hey, why not? Why am I not getting more time? And the answer is, oh, well, you're just going to succeed in everything. So you just succeed really quickly, and you're done. You're done. So now we go to the other people who actually, I mean, theirs is a little bit more interesting since it can fail, and it makes it happen longer, or they get more time. And that's why they have more time than you, because you just succeed at everything and they don't, and it just turns out to be more interesting. This lets them know that, hey, I don't want to try to win at this game. I want to try to have fun? I know, weird concept, but you might get that across to them. And this works for if they have a ridiculously high static character, or if they have a ridiculous amount of dice rolls. Now, I've gone over how to help you with your problem players if they are cheating with their character, if they're cheating with dice, and I've given you a whole bunch of other tips to help solve the issue, and even other tips to help you if you can't kick the player, even when you really should kick this player. I hope you enjoyed this content, and if you liked it, then you can leave a like down below, subscribe, or I also have a website where I give a whole bunch of other tips on these types of things. If you have a question on what you need help with, then just leave it in the comment below. Until next time, this has been Wizo, and keep rolling.